Hi folks, my perspective here, and in this short video clip I'll be looking at gravity and its practical application. In other words, when we try and apply what we have been taught about gravity, does it work? And if not, why would they lie to us about gravity? You see, in gaining knowledge, we first acquire data and information. We process that information that leads to knowledge and understanding and discernment. When we apply what we learned, this leads to success and us accomplishing our goals. So let's illustrate it with two people. So stick with me and we'll see where this is going. Here's a man on your left. He receives a horse as a gift from his father. Immediately he puts the horse to work for him. He makes money, and his knowledge and understanding of working horses grows. He kills the horse, he studies its muscles, its sinews. And over time his knowledge grows. He develops his own theories on evolution. He studies its bones. He mounts the bones in his office. But in all this time, he has no love for horses. You see, horses for him is just a means to an end. It's about money and power for him. So he writes a set of books about his dealings with horses, because he wants to share his knowledge with you so that you can benefit yourself. On the other hand, this young lady, she receives a horse from her father as a gift. Immediately she rides the horse, cares for it, looks after the horse. When her mare gives birth, she's up all night and gains hands-on practical experience on how to care for a horse. So her love for horses grows and the horse bonds with her. She takes up art, fascinated with horses, and her knowledge grows. Now she's not content with superficial knowledge on the outside. She looks deep and tries to understand the very nature of horses. She's totally amazed at how horses can be so fearless, powerful. They have a zeal and a love for life. But at the same time, this powerful creature can be amazingly timid and gentle. That a horse can actually show loyal love. A horse can bond with a human being. And she ponders, how is this possible? Where does this come from? So her love for horses grows, her love for her father who gave her the horse grows, and her appreciation for him grows, and she writes a book about her experiences because she wants to share that information with you. So when we look at these two people, they have different goals, they have different perspectives. The man on the left, the horse is a means to an end and it's about money and power for him. The lady on the right, well, it's actually about horses for her. And subjects. But what is the practical wisdom in these books? In other words, a farmer, he puts his knowledge to use in a practical way by farming. But generally speaking in the world, we see that the world is So now here's the crux of the matter. If you go and you read the man's books, and as you read and you try and apply the information, you realize something is wrong. So, when you try to apply what this man wrote, when you applied the data and information that he'd written, you quickly realized that you were being misled. And it became apparent to you that this man wasn't going to share the truth with you. Because if you knew what he knew, then he wouldn't have the upper hand. He wouldn't be number one. You see, the truth that he'd gained, the knowledge that he'd gained, was not for public consumption. The truth was for him and the people who belonged to the club that he was in. Because for him it's about power, financial success and power. It's not about horses. See, this man doesn't care about horses. He cares about money and power. Now, when we look at Isaac Newton, see, we are told that this man wanted to share his knowledge with heavy things fall down. And they were able to build massive buildings. So do the majority of the world rulers. Then we understand that half-truths and disinformation leads to limited knowledge. Little understanding, no discernment, leads us to rely on others, and us failing leads to servitude and slavery. Peace and security between humans and the natural world. Yet we don't have this. We see a minority are having success and are becoming very wealthy, while the majority of human beings Could it simply be as simple as this, that you are born with a conscience, that the Creator created us with a conscience? This conscience helps you to discern what is right and what is wrong. This is not the same as what is good and what is bad. Your conscience will help you to understand what is right and wrong. So this conscience is being supplanted with fake science, so that we would be left dazed and confused, unable to discern what is right and what is wrong. And inside the earth there is a molten core, a liquid core, with different layers of solid material, and that this all spins as one perfect body as a result of relativity and gravity. These two go in hand. That gravity bends water, gravity bends clouds, gravity bends gases into a ball, and this ball is spinning at 1,600 kilometers an hour in a vacuum, and traveling in space in that vacuum at over 500,000 kilometers. And this ball maintains its same shape. You see, we realize that this is horseman. This gases, water vapor, water molecules can spin all at the same time as a solid object. And is still in the same shape. The sand and the stone and the water never mixes. Then we get to understand you see, because we the workhorses. An airplane flying east and west both fly at the same speed, travel the same distance, use the same amount of fuel, generally speaking. But if the Earth was spinning, a plane flying easterly would have to fly further and faster to land at the same time. A plane flying westerly would travel slower and at a shorter distance to land at the same time. Yet aeroplanes will fly northeast, southwest, any direction. They travel the same distance at the same time, use the same amount. It's sitting in the car. The motion of the car will be transferred to the bee. But if the bee is flying, there's a car, there's a butterfly flying at the back and a butterfly flying inside. So as the truck pulls off, the butterfly at the back will be left. But because the butterfly is in the car, it will automatically now just move with the car. Well, that's insane. The car stops, the butterfly doesn't stop. When the car reverses, the butterfly won't reverse and just travel automatically in unison with the car, because its motion is not relative to the car. The butterfly's motion is independent, separate from the car. You see, if this bee is sitting in the car, then its motion will be transferred from the car to the bee. They'll travel at the same speed. But if the bee flies and is flying inside the car, and the car hits a swerve, a cat runs in front of the car and the car starts swerving, the bee cannot maintain its orientation, the same orientation as the car, same speed and direction as the car. See, this is fantasy. This is not real. Hot air balloon. We're standing outside and the hot air balloon rises. So the hot air balloon is floating. Its motion is independent from the earth. So is the clouds. The wind is blowing the clouds. The clouds aren't traveling with the earth. So they want you to believe now that the hot air balloon will float around, but at the same time maintain its spin with the earth. So as the Earth spins at 1,600 kilometers an hour, the balloon will float around in the air above the Earth, but still keep this speed around the Earth, and at the same time keep its speed as the Earth moves around the Sun. Car goes over bumps. The bumps and that motion isn't transferred to the butterfly. The butterfly's motion is independent. Same with a bee flying in an aeroplane. If the aeroplane hits turbulence, the bee doesn't continue with an aeroplane. Its motion is separate. You see, everything not tied down ends up on the floor. You are strapped into the plane, that's why you are moving with the plane. What is not strapped in ends up all the passenger is strapped down. Your motion of the plane is the motion from the plane is transferred to the human and to the bee. But if the bee is flying inside the plane, it's independent. So the same with an aeroplane flying around the Earth and a hot air balloon. You see, you cannot be strapped in your seat and be moving independently both at the same time. To illustrate, these people are spinning on a carousel. Now the carousel is sliding down those rails. If these people aren't strapped in, they'll go flying off this carousel. So if gravity is the strap, they cannot be strapped to the carousel and still walk about freely at the same time. It's either one or the other. So here we have Michelson from the Michelson-Morley experiment. You see, he's a Freemason. He's the sorcerer. He's the magician. That's why he's got his hand hidden under his coat. To his left is Albert Einstein. So this is the end of part 1, and in the next clip we'll be looking at practical examples that show that gravity is a lie. and so is relativity.